Okay, let's solve Leetcode 198 House Robber. In my opinion, this is such a good question to understand. Even though it's just an easy question, you can learn so much about dynamic programming from this problem. And you might already know, Google really loves asking dynamic programming problems, and if you want to get started on that, this is such a good question to understand. So we're basically given an array of integers, like many problems, and each integer represents a house, right? So this is a house, this is a house, this is a house. They're all houses and they're adjacent to each other. So it's basically a neighborhood. We want to rob houses to maximize the amount of money we can rob. So why not just rob all of them, right? Nope, there's a restriction. We can't rob two houses that are adjacent to each other. So we can rob this house, but then we can't rob this house, right? So we have to rob this one next, maybe, right? On the other hand, if we rob this one, we can't rob this one and we can't rob this one. It has two neighbors. This might sound really difficult, right? So let's just start out with the brute force approach. Let's imagine if we were trying to get every single combination. Okay, so the first combination is where we pick the first house, right? So let's draw out what the decision tree of that would look like. Okay, so our first decision was to rob the house with value 1. Okay, so next we want to rob more houses, right? But we can't rob this one. So we have to basically get the max we can rob from these two. So does that sound kind of like a sub problem? Yeah, but we'll get there in a minute. So continuing on with just the brute force, right? Okay, so now we want to rob these two houses, right? Well, we can't rob both of them because they're right next to each other. So we can either rob house 3 or we can rob house 1. So this is the decision tree, right? And so along this path, so if we were to rob house 1, right? Let's say we went along this path. Then we can either rob house 1 and 3 or we can rob house 1 and 1. Obviously, we're going to choose this one because that gives us the total, that gives us the maximum, which is 4. Okay, but what if we didn't rob the first house? We decided to rob the second house. So that would be our other decision in our decision tree, right? Rob house 2. Okay, now we have not many choices, right? We can't rob house 3. So the only house left is house 1. So we rob that one as well. So if we went along this pathway in our decision tree, we would get these two houses robbed, and that's a total of 3. But we remember we found this, which was a total of 4, which is greater, of course, so that's going to be our result. Now, this is a very brute force approach. Imagine if we had more numbers here, right? Maybe a 3 and a 4, then we'd have to have like more paths in our decision tree. This could get very complex. So how can we improve it? Can we identify any subproblem? And the answer to that is yes. Let's take a look at the subproblem. So remember, we have two choices. We want to get the max that we can rob from this entire neighborhood. So the first choice is we rob from the first house and then find the maximum from the remaining houses, right? Imagine there's more houses here. There could be a 3, a 4, whatever, right? This is the subproblem. We're finding the max of a subarray of the entire array. The second choice we have is we skip this house, right? If we skip it, then basically we're saying, okay, find the maximum of the entire subarray, not including the first value. So let's actually write out the relationship if it doesn't make sense yet. So if we want to find the max we can rob from the entire array, we have two choices. Rob in this case indicates the max that we can rob from the entire array. So in our first decision, we decided that we were going to rob the first value. So array of index 0 plus rob the remainder of this blue portion of the array. So we're skipping index 1. We're going to rob the entire array from index 2 to the end. So I'll say n is the end in this case. So that's our first decision. If we decided to rob the first house, then we're going to break up the problem into a subproblem. Now we got to rob the remainder of that array, skipping one of the values. If we didn't rob the first house, then we simply only have the subproblem, rob every house, skipping the first house. So we start at house 1, not house 0, and go until the end of the array. So this is the recurrence relationship. You might not know exactly what that means, but it's basically a way to break up dynamic programming problems. Notice the result of the entire problem depends on only these two. If we can compute these two, then we have our result. But notice each rob can be broken up into its own subproblem just like we did over here. So let's actually solve the subproblems now before we solve the entire problem. Now I could do this in reverse order, right? I could say, let's find the max of this subarray, and so on, but it's a little more confusing to do that, so I'm actually going to do it in order. So let's start at the first house, like we've been doing. So if we rob this house, that's basically our base case, right? So we can decide to rob this house. In that case, up until this point, we could rob a total of 1. Okay, now we get to the second house. So what's the max we can rob up until this point? Well, we can decide to not rob this house and only rob this house if we wanted to. Or we can decide to not rob this house and only rob this house. 2 is obviously greater than 1, so I'm going to decide only to rob this house. Next, we get to house 3. This is where it gets interesting. So what's the max amount we can rob up until this point? So we have 2 choices again. We can rob house 3 and we can rob house 1, or we can just rob house 2. The max is obviously if we rob house 3 and 1, and in that case we'd get a total of 4. Now we get to the last value, 1. So we can decide to rob house 1, and if we did rob house 1, then we would want the max we could rob up until these 2 values, meaning we'd want 1 plus 2, because 2 tells us what's the max we can rob from these first 2 elements. We can't include this one because it's adjacent to 1. So one of our choices is 1 plus 2. That's choice 1. Or we can decide to not even rob house 1. We can just get the max of the entire first 3 elements, not including this one. In that case, we have what we would get from the first 3 elements right here. We already computed it. It's 4. So our choices are 1 plus 2 or 4. Obviously, 4 is greater, so I'm going to choose 4. That means we put a 4 right here. And this last 4 means that for the entire array, the max value we could get is 4 if we wanted to rob houses. So we can put a 4 here. But notice how we don't even have to store this entire blue portion. For each value, like for this one, 4, to compute this, we only need to look at the previous 2 results that we computed. And the reason for that is because we could either decide to rob this one and rob the remainder portion of the array, not including 3, in which case we'd have the value computed right here. The other case is if we wanted the max we could rob from the entire array, we could decide to not even include this and just get the max from these 3. And in that case, the value would be stored here. So now let's look at the code. Since we only need to maintain the last 2 maxes that we could rob from, we'll only need 2 variables. So I'll just name them rob1, rob2. We'll initialize them as 0, because if we get an empty subarray, we want to return 0 anyway. So let's iterate through each of the houses we can rob. And now we want to compute the maximum that we can rob up until this value n. So I'm going to compute that in a temporary variable for now, and you'll probably see why. So the max we can rob up until now, in my case, I'm going to say rob1 or rob2 was the last house that we robbed. Rob1 was the one before that. So knowing that, the max we could get would be n plus rob1, meaning there's a gap between the current house and the previous house, or rob2, which includes the previous house. In case it's not clear, this is basically, let me just make a comment to show what I mean by rob1 and rob2. So rob1 is first, rob2 comes second, and then we get some more values, n plus 1, and so on. So if I want to rob n, then I have to rob 1 as well. I can't use rob2. But if I want to do rob2, I can include n because it's right next to it. So when we iterate to the next position, meaning we get here, we want to update rob1 to now equal rob2. So let's do that. And rob2, in this case, wants to be updated to n. So rob2 can now equal our temporary value that we just computed. At the end, we want to return rob2 because by the time we get to the end, rob2 will be equal to the last value, meaning that it will be the max we can rob from the entire neighborhood of houses. This is a problem you can learn so much from. Even though it's an easy problem, it might take you a while to digest exactly what's going on and to understand all the importance of this problem. So many dynamic programming problems are built upon this one. And let me know if you have any questions, because I feel like I might not have explained the recurrence relationship quite well enough. But if this was helpful, thank you for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, and let me know if you have any suggestions.